himself at a New York City retrial, had told jurors in closing arguments that the CIA and FBI made him a scapegoat for an embarrassing public release of a trove of CIA secrets by WikiLeaks in 2017. Schulte watched without visibly reacting as U.S. District Judge Jesse M. Furman announced the guilty verdict on 9 counts, which was reached in mid-afternoon by a jury that has deliberated since Friday. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 208 points, the NASDAQ and S&P lower by 17, the oil up to $95.88 a barrel. More details at srnnews.com.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
If you're an avid shooter or you're new to shooting, Shooter's Choice is your paradise. A firearms specialty store with all types of firearms, ammunition, accessories, AR platform rifles, shotguns, hunting rifles, and much more. Shooter's Choice has the largest and best selection of firearms in the area. Shooter's Choice is the oldest, the most professional firearms dealer in the Midlands. They've served us for more than 30 years. Family owned, they've never let themselves lose that hometown feel. You go into Shooter's Choice, you'll get experts who hunt and shoot. It's not like some big box store. Their staff has decades of experience. You just won't get this anywhere else. From the classics to the newest cutting-edge products anywhere in the firearms world, they buy, sell, and trade firearms. They have an indoor firing range for handguns and hunting rifles. If you don't want to spend the gas money, hop on shooterschoicesc.com and shop online 24/7. Whatever you choose, Shooter's Choice will make it easy on you. In West Columbia at 944 Sunset Boulevard or online, shooterschoicesc.com. Make it your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP, on a mission to support veterans. Visit AARP.org/veterans today.
Gas prices, grocery prices, inflation has hit us all, and it's caused the Fed to raise interest rates. As a result, after historically low mortgage rates for what seemed like forever, interest rates for a mortgage have jumped in recent months. Fran Halloran here. Let me make something clear to you. Mortgage rates are rising. They may continue to rise as the Fed tries to get a grip on inflation. What hasn't changed is the incredible customer service you'll get from Greg McCoy and Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Greg can't control interest rates. He can, however, control fees. With rates on the rise, now more than ever, you need to know you're getting the very best deal. Greg will make sure of that. He's more than just a mortgage guy. Greg McCoy is your trusted advisor. You might be surprised to learn how much Simplified Mortgage and Greg McCoy can do to help you with your biggest financial investment. Not sure? Have questions? Give Greg a call at Simplified Mortgage, 803-722-6044, or find him online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com. Greg McCoy, NMLS 119871.
Back on Sports Talk. So glad you are with us. Glad we got Andy in Columbia on the line to brag about the Mets taking 2 of 3 from the Braves. Hey, we won't get cut off for the Braves on any of our affiliates tonight. So glad you're with us. We'll be pro Braves in hour number 2 just to make you feel at home. Matt Smith, Chris Bergen, at Daniel with you here on Sports Talk. Let's get our guest on now. Monty Lee joining us, former head coach with the Clemson Tigers, with College of Charleston Cougars. Pretty darn good player in his day as well. And we've been talking about Spencer Strider this week and the chances he might be the NL Rookie of the Year. So why not go right to the source? Who scouted Spencer Strider coming out of the Christian Academy of Knoxville when he was 17 years old. That was Monty Lee. Monty, welcome back to Sports Talk.
Hey, guys. How we doing this afternoon?
We're great, Coach.
Coach, we are doing great. And, we said, we've been bragging on Spencer Strider. And, obviously, you signed him. You wanted him to be a Clemson Tiger. So you were impressed with him when he was young. But what did you see or what did you know? And what have you seen in his development still? I mean, talk to us like a scout a little bit. What did you see? What did you think he could be? And now what do you see from him now that he's on the hill in the big leagues?
Well, I'll certainly have to give credit to Andrew C. And Bradley LaCroix. It was kind of a group effort in the recruiting process for Spencer. I had gotten wind of Spencer from a good friend of mine named Mike Gwynn, who coached a team that was based out of the Knoxville area. And Mike Gwynn's teams had come down and played at the College of Charleston when I was there. And I had recruited some of his guys from there, and he always had good players. And he told me about Spencer. So, Andrew and Bradley saw him, really liked him. When I got a chance to meet Spencer, the first thing that stood out is he is incredibly intelligent, incredibly independent thinker, very worldly, very smart, and just a great human being. When we got him on campus, the things that stood out when I first saw him pitch was he had an invisible fastball. That was the thing that really stood out to me, just seeing him as a true freshman. He was a long reliever for us. He actually started for us at the end of the year as a freshman, and he was just one of those guys that he threw a plus fastball, a good slider, threw his fastball right at the top of the strike zone. He didn't have the velocity that he has now. At that time, he was more like 91 to 94. But, you could see that he was going to be a guy that was going to be, the real deal. Unfortunately, his sophomore year, he got hurt literally the week before opening day. He was going to be our Friday night starter as a sophomore. He got hurt, and that really hurt us in the 2019 season. So in 2020, the COVID season, unfortunately, was cut short. Spencer was still on a 50 pitch count limit. And really was unable to show the scouts, everything that he could do. I feel like if that season would have kept going, he probably would have been a top 2 round type draft pick. Because I remember his last start against South Carolina on Sunday, he was touching 98 miles an hour. So it was starting to come back. It was starting to make that jump to where he is now. And obviously the Braves were smart. They saw enough in that shortened season to write him up and take him. I think they took him in the 4th round of a 5-round draft, and look at him now. He's a big leaguer, and he's one of the best starters in the game. It's just been really, really impressive to watch what he's been able to do.
Coach, for those of us, and I'm not including Matt Smith in this, but for those of us who could never hit big league pitching like us, that Spencer Strider throws, what exactly do you mean when you say an invisible fastball?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So the things that I would tell you is, in this day and age, you can take the data and the analytics and basically define the characteristics of a fastball. So what we would call a high ride, high spin fastball is a 4-seam fastball that has a flat plane and it stays at the top of the zone. The spin of the ball stays true. So it's straight, it's flat, and it's firm. And then you see guys that have what we call a low spin fastball are your sinker guys. So their ball is going to dive more, to the arm side or straight down. So Spencer had a high ride, high spin fastball. So basically when he got to professional baseball, and he did it at Clemson too. When we got to professional baseball, they said, look, with the characteristics of your fastball, if you throw your fastball at the belt of the hitter, they have no chance of hitting it. You can tell them it's coming, and they won't hit it. And Sure enough, if you watch Spencer pitch, He just throws his fastball at the top of the strike zone, and he'll pitch away with it some, and then he'll throw that devastating slider really in the same tunnel as his fastball, and it's 8 to 10 miles an hour slower than his fastball, and they just chase it. They swing and miss, and that's why he strikes out so many hitters, is because he has a fastball that is very, very difficult for a hitter to get on plane with the barrel of the bat on his fastball. If you watch Spencer Strider pitch, hitters never swing over his fastball. They always are underneath his fastball. He just has and that's what I mean by the invisible fastball. It's incredibly hard for a hitter to hit a rising fastball that has that type of ride and spin to it. Is very difficult. You literally have to think about swinging one ball above it to be able to actually hit it. Otherwise, you're going to be underneath it, and you're just going to miss it completely.
Former Clemson and the College of Charleston head baseball coach Monty Lee with us here tonight, chatting about Spencer Strider, one of his disciples, who has turned out to be an exceptional pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. And, Coach, he is one of 4 pitchers on that staff with over 100 strikeouts thus far this season. But when you watch him pitch, clearly it's his fastball that sort of has made a name for him. But how, as you pointed out, how devastating is that slider? And is that maybe his best pitch because it works off that fastball of his?
Well, I think his fastball is his best pitch, and the fact that he just throws the slider in there because it's a change of speed and it's a change of direction from the fastball. You know, when the hitter sees that fastball over and over and over, they're looking for that fastball at the top of the strike zone, and then all of a sudden he throws the slider through the same tunnel, and now that pitch is darting away from a right-handed hitter. They see fastball until it's too late, and once they swing, that pitch is biting hard and towards what we would call the glove side of the pitcher. It's running away from a righty and it's running into a lefty. So they just run out of barrel. They can't hit it. It's too hard to adjust to that pitch because you're sitting on a 97 to 100 mile an hour fastball at the top of the zone. So just the change of the speed and the change of the direction and the fact that that pitch is coming out of the same tunnel as the fastball, it's just very, very hard. You can't sit on both. So, you have to pick one and hope that you get it and hope that you can actually get to it. And he just doesn't, he hasn't made that many mistakes. And, Spencer talked to our team early in the season about his success. And he said, really keeping things simple is what has made him so successful. It's just, I just throw my fastball and I throw my slider. And I know that I only have to worry about 2 pitches, and I just throw it, as hard as I can at the top of the zone and throw the slider, and it's been working, and I just keep things simple. And that's what he's been doing. And, it just goes to show you that, again, the old adage, good pitching beats good hitting any day. And he's doing an unbelievable job, as good as anybody in the big leagues right now at doing that.
Monty, I read, Monty, that Spencer Strider has gone vegan since 2019. So, A, I can't imagine that's your influence. And B, how does a vegan throw 98? Where does it come from?
Well, like I told you guys at the very beginning, Spencer is a very astute, intellectual, smart, free thinker, independent. Those are all great words to share. When you have a young man who is a vegan and is and the cool part, I'll be honest with you guys. So we've actually had discussions about this, and I respect him so much because of the choices that he has made, and it's because he believes in it. I think that's the cool part, is he's not afraid to go out and be different than the norm by being, a vegetarian. And his workout regimen and his stretching regimen and his diet and his everything that he does, he marches to the beat of his own drummer, but it works for him, and he knows himself, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. And there's real strength to that, in my opinion. So, he and I would have discussions about, being a vegetarian, and obviously, I'm a carnivore. So, I don't think I've ever eaten a meal without meat involved unless it's breakfast. But we used to have great discussions about it. And he just said, look, I feel better. I feel better. My mental clarity is better. My health is great. I'm still super strong. I still take in plenty of protein, but this is a choice that I've made, for my own health. And and hey, it's worked for him. So yeah, I mean, he's a super independent, free thinking young man, but he is so smart, and it works for him. And that's what makes him so cool, is just that personality and him being very, very comfortable with himself.
Well, he clearly has one of the best mustaches in Major League Baseball to begin with, Coach. But he also was diagnosed when he was in his late teens with high blood pressure, which is something you rarely see in somebody as a college athlete, plus Tommy John surgery. How much is all those sort of medical issues that you pointed out maybe dictated to him how he has to handle his nutrition?
Well, one thing that Spencer would tell you, one of the best things that ever happened to him was going through the Tommy John recovery process, because he spent so much time really, really working on his delivery and being on point with all of the things that go into recovery and building strength and taking care of your body. He basically had, 1 year of being on the rehab island, as we call it, because it's a difficult thing to go on. When you're rehabbing, you're not practicing with the rest of the team. You have your own program. It's just you and typically the trainer, and you have to be super motivated to go out there every day and stick to that plan. And Spencer did that. And Spencer will tell you that the best thing that ever happened to him for his career was going through the Tommy John rehab process, because he had to be so diligent every day of being very, very particular with his throwing program and his mechanics. He spent a lot of time on his mechanics, a lot of time in the weight room, a lot of time on his diet. He was just very, very regimented. And, Spencer literally knows to the minute what he does every day. I'm being dead honest. Like, on the days that he starts, I guarantee you, Spencer knows what time he's getting up. He knows what time he's going to eat his first meal. He knows what time he's leaving for the ballpark. He knows what time he's going to warm up in the weight room, what time he starts throwing, what time he goes to the pen, how many pitches he throws in the pen, and what time he's walking out on the field to pitch that day. He literally does that every single day. He's the most regimented human being I've ever coached. So that's why I respect him so much, is he knows himself so well, and he's so particular about everything he does. And a lot of that came from the Tommy John process of having to have that structure every day and those goals every day, so that you just don't lose your mind. It's just so hard for guys on that rehab island because they're on their own. They have to find ways to achieve goals because they can't play. So he'll tell you that. And it's just, that's why he's been so successful, is just how regimented he is going through that process.
Fascinating stuff on Spencer Strider of the Atlanta Braves with his former head coach, Monty Lee, joining us for a few more moments here on Sports Talk. And, Coach, before we let you go, I saw a story earlier today, and you sort of being, I view as sort of old school baseball guy. I really want to get your take on the Major League Baseball deal where they are looking at testing the pie slice in minor league baseball with regards to maybe trying to figure out a way to get rid of the shift defensively. First off, your thoughts on shift in the baseball, and will this actually work with sort of having that triangle out near second base where you're not able to put your shortstop on the right side of the triangle or your second baseman on the left side of the triangle?
Well, I think if you look at, there's a couple data points that you can look at that will tell you just how important the shift is in taking away hits. I saw something online the other day. Ground balls in the middle of the field in 2015, I want to say, batting average on ground balls in the middle of the field were 50 points higher in 2015 than they are now.
Wow.
So if you don't think that the shift takes away hits, it does. Ryan Howard, if you read Tim Kirchin's book, Ryan Howard, when they implemented the shift, took away 40 hits from Ryan Howard from 1 year to the next. 40 balls put in play that were hits the year before became outs once you could play the second baseman out in right field and take away that 4-hole left-handed hook swing. So the idea, and I think what it'll do, this is just my opinion, is I think what you're going to see is, and when you can only have two guys on one side of the field, it's going to create more hits, but you also are going to have to put a premium on defense in the infield, because with only two guys on one side, the range factor is going to be much more important in being able to make plays and turn double plays. So I think defense and speed will certainly become more of a factor. So that, if you're an average defensive middle infielder, especially at second base, because the second base position in the big leagues has become an offensive position now. You're seeing average defenders who can really hit playing second base. You're not going to be able to do that with only two guys on one side of the field. You're going to have to put premium defenders at second base. So I think the athleticism side of the game will come back. I think the bigger bases, there's going to be more bang bang plays. So that part is going to be interesting to see what happens. But it's certainly going to make the game more offensive. I can tell you that. And I think it will bring back more guys pitching at the bottom of the strike zone, trying to get ground balls, because look, balls now, if the ball's hit on the ground now, it's an out. You have to hit line drives now. I think just the game will come back to being more using the whole field. Everybody's not going to try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Hopefully contact will go up, because guys aren't going to be afraid of trying to hit the ball on the ground and using the whole field. I think the hit and run, the stolen bases, those types of things should increase. All in all, I think it'll be a better game. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see, what it looks like once it comes into play.
Monty, we love talking baseball with you. Love listening to you talk ball. And I heard you talk about second baseman without range, but you did it without mentioning Robinson Cano's name. So that was good. You might bump into him, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this: the Braves did not sign Robinson Cano or pick up Robinson Cano for the Mets to pay for the rest of his salary. They did not. They didn't pick him up because of his glove. I can tell you that. The Braves needed another left-handed bat, with a right-handed dominant lineup. They needed another left-handed bat to hit at the bottom of the order and a veteran that could swing the bat. So yeah, hopefully he can make the routine play and continue to be a good hitter. He's been obviously, arguably, you look at Robinson Cano's numbers, and some of the off-the-field stuff will certainly hurt that, but he's arguably a Hall of Famer offensively. Yep. So, if he can, and maybe it will, ignite his career a little bit by getting another opportunity to be in the big leagues, and the Braves are pretty good at that. So, hopefully he'll be a big addition, to the Braves lineup.
Well, Monty, we really appreciate it. We've had you on a couple of times since you left Clemson, and I'm sure people are curious. Is there anything you can tell us about what you've been up to in the last couple of months?
Well, I've certainly been on the phone a lot, doing some development trips for myself, just trying to sharpen my knife, so to speak, while I have the time to do it. I'm certainly looking. The college market in the Carolinas has been very, very small. There really hasn't been a lot of opportunities in the Carolinas, and that's home base for me. That's where my recruiting network is where my family is where I've always been. So, I was going to be pretty selective in regards to a college opportunity, and that opportunity has not come about. So I am looking into professional baseball and seeing if that could be an avenue for me. I certainly think there will be some opportunities there. But I'm still waiting to see kind of what happens in the meantime. And, I'm going to be patient. And the main thing for me is whatever it is, I want to be excited about it. I want it to be something that I'm really excited about being involved with. And my family's excited about it. And, we're just going to continue to look for the right opportunity and let my gut and let my heart, tell me what to do. And the right opportunity will come about. Just have to be patient and ready to go once it gets here.
Well, when it happens, Monty, we'll absolutely call you up. We love having you on. It will not be long. We'll talk baseball anytime. Thanks for your time.
Well, I appreciate you guys as always for having me on, and I look forward to jumping on with you again in the future.
Thank you, Coach. It's Monty Lee. And if anybody knows baseball in our state much better outside of Smitty, I'm not sure there's a better resource that we have than Monty Lee. I agree with you, Smitty. It won't be long before he's a head coach somewhere else. because if I had a baseball program and I was looking for somebody to help me start it, he'd be the first phone call I would make.
And I do like that Monty Lee knows how to teach the game.
Mhm.
So I know, sometimes Clemson fans are frustrated with some of the seasons and the way
Sure.
that they played out and the injuries to the pitching staff and anything that went on. But I think you could hear, if you just listen to Monty Lee for 10 minutes and you really let put your own ego aside for a moment and just listen to Monty Lee, that man knows baseball. Period. End of. I mean, it's like listening to Buck Showalter. The guy, win or lose, the guy knows baseball.
Mhm.
And so he would be a value to any program or organization just because he knows the game. He's got great perspective. And that's why I like to mention sometimes this is a guy that played at a high level, played professionally. So he's seen a ton of baseball, and he's had access to all of these minds, and he really, really knows the game. And I'm fascinated by the things that he said about the shift. I hope the game does get better. I know your frustration with it, Chris. I get it. I understand. But I also, if you listen to Monty, I think what he's dealing with is he watches players on a daily basis and he looks at it, analytically. He knows, as he mentioned, that, a guy like Ryan Howard can lose 40 base hits, that 50 balls that are ground balls at them. It used to be a ground ball at the middle was a base hit, a great place to hit the ball. Now, that against a left-handed hitter, that's where the shortstop's standing. And it's a little jarring to see a two-hopper right over second base just turn into an out. And I think that's what they want to correct. It doesn't mean the game shouldn't be forced to correct itself, that the players shouldn't learn how to hit the ball, take inside pitches. Willie McGee could have done it, right? Hit an inside ball the other way with that inside-outside swing. But it does mean that we need to care about the game a little bit. So we caretake of the game at the same time as we try to improve it and try to get those players to understand, hey, if somebody's standing on second base, you can hit a two-hopper through that shortstop hole and you're standing on first base and you've got another lick for your number 3 or number 4 hitter.
The wonderful thing I like about talking with people like yourself and Monty Lee and people who really know baseball, there's a certain lingo and language that baseball has that no other sport has.
Let me tell you about that, Chris. Let me tell you, I will tell you about that. If you want to be entertained, talk to a guy that used to be a relief pitcher. All they have done their whole lives is show up 3 hours before game time and start talking to everybody. That's all they have done. They can spit a sunflower seed into a cup 30 feet away because that is what they have done with it. They can roll a 7 on dice anytime they want to. They could throw darts or play pool because they've lived their life.
Yeah.
And guys like Monty Lee, they just sit around other baseball minds and they sharpen themselves. It's like sitting in a room of stand-up comedians. They have their own lingo and it's going too fast. You'll never keep up. You need to listen back to that interview so you can learn, so you can catch everything about baseball Monty Lee just taught us.
I would love to hear Monty and Gary Gilmore just sit and talk. That would be a terrific show. That would be 2 hours of sports talk that we could never get back. It would be fascinating stuff. All right, we will slide out top of the hour update. We'll come back, talk some British Open golf with MJ Ward. That's next here on Sports Talk.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. A new wave of anger in Uvalde, Texas surfaces after surveillance video is released of police waiting in the elementary school hallway where a gunman was killing children inside a 4th grade classroom.
It's been known for weeks, but the 77-minute video published by the Austin American-Statesman shows it. Gunshots ring out. Then heavily armed police milling in the hallway, even using hand sanitizer. Finally, the classroom is breached. The gunman shot. The video dominated talk at a city council meeting last night. Adam Martinez, whose 8-year-old son attends the school, spoke to KSAT and was critical of police.
Anybody see them do a good job? Just because they tried to go in there, was that good enough? Is that good enough for the people that were bleeding out?
I'm Julie Walker.
A Republican senator says woke ideology is creating more and more distance between Democrats and the American people. Bob Agnew reports.
Senator Cotton says it's hard to tell whether Democrats will change course.
The hands of the Democrats, whether or not they want to start sounding like normal people again and defending the interest of normal people.
Cotton says it's more than just a woke focus on things like transgender pronouns, but also the comparative neglect of concerns to average American families.
Those things are $5 a gallon gas or grocery costs that are through the roof. Moms not being able to get formula for their babies.
Senator Cotton was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. Bob Agnew reporting.
U.S. inflation surged to a new 4-decade high in June because of rising prices for gas, food, and rent, squeezing household budgets and pressuring the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates aggressively, trends that raise the risk of a recession. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 208 points, the Nasdaq and S&P lower by 17. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
The fight for the unborn is raging in our country. The Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade, clearing the way for many states to ban or severely limit abortion. The debates have never been stronger. During this critical time, the award-winning film, The Matter of Life, cuts through the rhetoric and hatred and exposes the real issues surrounding the plight of the unborn. The Matter of Life. Stream it today at salemnow.com and have your own life transformed as you watch The Matter of Life.
President Biden sets an uncomfortable protocol as he lands in Israel. The latest from the Media Line's Felice Friedson.
Air Force One set down at Israel's Ben Gurion Airport Wednesday afternoon, signaling the start of President Joe Biden's 3-day visit to the Jewish state, the Palestinian territories, and Saudi Arabia. Those selected to greet the American president were surprised when he pulled away from hands extended for handshake, Mr. Biden instead offering a fist bump, having apparently failed to get word from the White House physician that the change in etiquette was due to COVID-19. But some media voices insisted the move was intended to allow President Biden to avoid a politically embarrassing handshake with the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, topping the agenda, Iran and defense technology. I'm Felice Friedson, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Some evening showers could be heavy at times and a low overnight of 73. Tomorrow, another South Carolina summer day with more clouds than sunshine. 50% chance of some heavy late afternoon and evening downpours and a high reaching 85. The humidity will make it feel hotter. More of the same on Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
And rolling right along on a fun Wednesday edition of the Sports Talk Media Network show. That's Sports Talk right here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Chris Bergen alongside Pat Daniel and Matt Smith. Phil Kornblut on vacation for the remainder of the week. That means we get to, the kids are in charge, and we're having a lot of fun. You can join us as well on the Sports Talk Education Lottery lucky number at 888-898-2525. Again, 888-898-2525. Our thanks to Monty Lee for joining us for as good a baseball discussion as we could possibly have had, and certainly focused in on Spencer Strider and the job he has done with the Atlanta Braves. Braves a loser a bit earlier today, and they dropped the series with the New York Mets as they fall this afternoon by a final score of 7-3 rather. Some of the other finals from Major League Baseball earlier today: the Twins beat the Brewers 4-1. Royals win over the Detroit Tigers by a final of 5-2. Giants knock off the Diamondbacks 4-3. The Mariners beat the Nationals 6-4 in game one of what is going to be a twin bill if they can get to the doubleheader in. As a matter of fact, they are in the top of the fifth, and they are scoreless now in game two. The Mariners and the Nationals are scoreless. Meantime, the Pirates and Marlins just getting going down in Miami. They are scoreless as well in the top of the second inning. Coming up shortly, got the Reds taking on the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies against the Blue Jays on what is turning out to be a getaway day. Speaking of getaway days, our golf insider, MJ Ward, has joined us now because he is trying to get out and get over to Scotland for the 150th edition of the Open Championship, which will get started bright and early. And I mean bright and early, about, maybe 2 o'clock, 2:30 tomorrow morning here Eastern time, which will certainly be around 6, 7 o'clock in Scotland tomorrow morning as they unveil the probably the most celebrated edition of the Open Championship, the 150th anniversary. And MJ Ward joins us here on the program to give us an idea as to what we might expect from round one tomorrow. MJ, sorry you're not over there in Scotland right now. I'm envious, though. It sounds like you're going to get over there here quickly. So good for you, my friend. And what are you expecting to see when you get over to Scotland starting tomorrow?
Well, I mean, the Open Championship is really the tournament that really binds the world. I mean, it's the R&A which runs the championship. It's global. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but the Open Championship actually predates the American Civil War. When you think about this, I mean, it's 1860.
Wow.
Was the first championship.
Yeah.
They had interruptions for the First and Second World War, and then the championship went through a period of decline. And the resurrection of that really started with the involvement of Arnold Palmer, and then continued through that period, obviously with the performances of Jack Nicklaus, and then of course more modern time with Tiger Woods. So it's great to be. Will be great to be at the Open Championship. My first one was back in 1984 at the Open when Ballesteros was able to take out Tom Watson. It was a great championship. Obviously, the most iconic moment was the fist pump that Seve showed at the 18th hole when he made his final birdie putt at that hole. It's a great championship because it involves links golf, and links golf is about one word, and that is adjustments. You have to make adjustments when you're playing because it's a combination of both the air game and the ground game, and there's a famous Scottish expression which says the real golf only starts when the ball hits the ground. So there's a lot of different variations of how you can play the old course, and I think it's open to a number of key players. You're going to see a variety of different tactics used. Weather, from what I understand, is going to be an issue. I don't think there's going to be any real rain or anything like that. And I think that the R&A, from the press conferences that I was able to participate with, is very happy with the way the golf course is playing. And I think it's going to be a fantastic championship, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Good for the R&A to have the Open Championship at its 150th anniversary taking place at the birthplace of golf at St. Andrews. But for those of our listeners, MJ, who maybe aren't diehard golf fans, because I'm so excited about this weekend. I love the road hole, number 17. I love a lot that they have at St. Andrews. But for folks who maybe aren't quite as familiar, what makes this golf course so special?
Well, I think that the most important thing about St. Andrews is the intersection of the town itself and the golf course. I mean, if you were to go to the first tee, it's right in front of the R&A clubhouse, and with the exception of Ben Hogan, every champion, every major player in golf has stepped on that tee. And when you think about that, this goes back to the times of old Tom Morris, when you see that sepia photos of a gentleman with a long beard and a big hat. It goes from his era all the way through to the modern players that you see today, whether it's Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson or whoever it happens to be, Xander Schauffele. I mean, everybody has been on that tee box at some point in the history of golf. That is an incredible thing that one has to keep in mind because of the history of the event. But the town is totally integrated with the golf itself. The closest thing that we would have in the United States would probably be Pinehurst. I mean, Pinehurst has the village, and the village is inexorably connected to the golf that's provided there. I don't think there's any other place in the United States that would be as close to what St. Andrews have. And St. Andrews has a long history going way back, several hundred years when golf first came on the scene, and obviously during the advent of the Open Championship being played there on a periodic basis. The last time was 2015. So when people watch on television, I think one of the things, and it's kind of hard because when you're not present, you really don't get the emotional vibe that you would get when you're there. I've been fortunate to have been at, just about almost all the Opens at St. Andrews since 1984. And it's a fantastic combination of both the people who are present. There is a village in which you could buy just about anything that's imaginable that one could buy. And you will see people from all corners of the globe be present because of the Open Championship and what it means. And clearly, when the Open was started, the British Empire was still at its height. So a number of the Commonwealth countries, whether they be South Africa or whether they be Canada or Australia or New Zealand, the intersection of golf has always been at the forefront of what the town is about. And clearly, there will be history made because of the 150th championship. But it's great to have the final major championship for the 22 calendar be rightfully held at the most iconic of golf courses, the Old Course.
MJ, we often hear from either players or patrons that have been to a course, it's something, it's hillier than you think, or the rough isn't what you think it's like. What can you tell us about the weather over there in St. Andrews in particular? How does that affect the play and the flight of the ball that maybe we can't pick up on television? You have to be there to understand.
Well, for starters, the R&A has basically made the policy that the Open Championship will always be played on a links course. And a links course, by definition, is land that was previously covered by the ocean or the sea, and then eventually, because of the pullback of those waters, the sandy loam that would become part of any traditional links course is then used because it is the perfect intersection between Mother Nature and what can happen. I mean, weather is a part of the Open Championship, as it rightfully is. So you could have players tee off at 8 o'clock in the morning and have sunshine. By 2 in the afternoon, you could have full Gore-Tex outfits being used because the wind is blowing at a high velocity. When you're near the sea, the flight of the ball is impacted. You don't get the same kind of carries that you would say possibly if you were playing in the States. So you have to marry the trajectory of the ball with the ability to know how to shape it. And as I said before, when the ball hits the ground, the game is actually starting. It's not ending like it is in the States. A lot of stateside golf is point-to-point golf. You're given a yardage, you play to that yardage, and basically the ball will stop within a few feet. But in links golf, you're going to have to incorporate the bounce of the ball. And there's going to be guys who will hit good shots that will turn out bad, and there will be guys who hit bad shots that can possibly turn out good. The thing about St. Andrews on television, it does not really demonstrate what you will see in person. There is a lot of bumps and movements in the ground where if the ball on the fly were to hit it at a certain angle, could actually carry him to a different direction than if it were to hit, say, 2 feet left or 2 feet right of where it landed. On television, you won't really see the kind of vagaries that I'm just described, but it is certainly present. And the players are very well aware of what can possibly happen. The most important thing I think I can add to this is that if you happen to land in a bunker at the Old Course, these are not aesthetic situations. They're not put in there to look pretty. They are penal in nature, and they have totally vetted faces, which means instead of having a face that slopes on a gradual basis, you'll have about a 90-degree angle where the ball could literally be up against the face. And then you have to decide how smartly you want to play, because if you take too much of a risk, you might find your next shot back in the same place that you were at. Incredibly, and I think this is one of the most unbelievable statistics of Tiger Woods' career, is when he won the Open Championship in 2000, he was never in a bunker for the 72 holes event. That is truly unbelievable when you consider that sometimes you could get a bad break and the ball kicks in, but he had tremendous control of his golf ball. And I think when people come to see the golf course on television, I think more than anything else, it is not the visual treat that you would see with, say, a Pebble Beach where the water is nearby. I mean, the North Sea is near enough to the golf course, but you won't really see it. But what you will see is players are going to be very much aware of where they're trying to position the shots. One of the things to mention real quickly, at the old course, the golf course goes out of town and then it circles back into town. 14 of the holes have double greens. So you will see players putting on another side of the green. They're actually in the competition, but they're playing one of the other holes. So, there's a lot that will be going on during the championship, and I'm hopeful that the press coverage that you see on television will explain a lot of this, because the old course has not really been seen by an American audience since 2015 when Zach Johnson won the Claret Jug.
MJ Ward joining us here, our golf insider, and he will be over there at St. Andrews, as you've heard him say, as he has been in almost every one of those since 1984. MJ, what about a player like Xander Schauffele? I'm always curious, what is the percentage you think of a player that is playing well heading into a major versus a player that has played this course well in the past? In other words, can someone who played at St. Andrews the last time they played there, could he summon that because he knows this course and kind of come out of nowhere? Or do you think that a guy like Xander Schauffele, who's just, controlling the golf ball and playing so well, has an advantage just because he's just playing the best golf of his life?
Well, that's a good question. I think the most interesting thing is what the R&A has done. I mean, they have actually put together Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, and Xander Schauffele together. So I think right off the top of the bat, you're going to be able to see, Rory McIlroy is a very experienced player. He knows the old course. I mean, in one of the Opens not too recent past, he shot 63 coming out of the gate, but because weather conditions changed, he shot 80 the next day. So that's the greatest differential in score between one round and a second round at the old course. Xander has been playing phenomenal golf, and clearly people would say, well, if the guy's won 3 times coming in, is there the likelihood that he can keep that streak going? I don't see any reason why he can't, but I think tomorrow is going to be an interesting pairing because Rory McIlroy also has issues. I mean, he has not won a major in 8+ years. So, this has been an ongoing story with Rory, is when does this streak come to an end? For Xander, it's a streak about adding his name to the major championship roster with other players of his generation. I mean, Matthew Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open, a few weeks back at the Country Club. Then you have Scotty Scheffler. He won the Masters. Hideki Matsuyama, who also won the Masters not too many months back, or many years ago, I should say. And then you have younger players. Jordan Spieth is another one who's won multiple majors. So Xander has really proven himself. He won the gold medal at the Tokyo Games. So he's done a lot of checking of the boxes. The reality now is he needs to demonstrate, can he go to the next level? And I've said this before, when you win a major championship, you have now put yourself in a different position in terms of how you are viewed, not only by the people that you play against, but by the perception by the world at large that follows professional golf. There is a lot of pressure on him. I mean, clearly, he's going to be under the microscope, but I think he's prepared at his age now and what he has gone through to at least put up the kind of performance that will take him, in my opinion, into the final stages of the event. But being paired with McIlroy is going to be a mano-a-mano situation tomorrow, not to discount Colin Morikawa, who's the defending champion. So I think there's going to be a lot of heaving and hoeing between this particular group, and I expect a lot of fireworks to take place for sure.
Matt Ward joining us here on Sports Talk. And Matt, this is a topic that I think we have spoken to at exhaustion at this point, but quite frankly, it just keeps taking on another level, and it is still a very hot topic. And of course, I'm referring to the LIV Tour. And this week alone, we've seen Tiger Woods throw a lot of shade against former PGA players who have made the jump over. We have seen Greg Norman, two-time British Open or Open Championship winner, essentially being banned from all the festivities celebrating the 150th Open. And then today we saw RNA Chief Executive Martin Slumbers come out and speak very negatively against it, saying that it's harming the perception of golf. And then to top all this off, the PGA Tour, we thought this was inevitable from the beginning, but the PGA Tour is now officially under investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice for potential anti-competitive behavior in response to the threat from the Live Golf Invitational Series. And now this is very similar to an investigation launched back in the 90s. Just curious, your thoughts. Is this just a topic that we're going to continue to hear about? Is this something that's going to hopefully not overshadow the celebration at St. Andrews? Or just what are your thoughts on everything that is now coming out regarding the Live Tour and the PGA Tour?
Well, I think the most important thing that came out of what took place going back to the U.S. Open when Mike Wan said that anybody who had been exempted into the U.S. Open would be able to play, and Live players were able to play. Martin Slumbers of the RNA did similarly and said, look, if you were exempted for the 22 championship, then you'll be in. I also think, in hindsight, I think he made the right call with Greg Norman. If Greg Norman had appeared at St. Andrews, whether he had an official press conference or he's just physically present, and then you have all this byplay that goes on, the 150th Open Championship is a milestone in golf in terms of what it means, and what it means not only to the RNA or to the folks who live in the UK, but about its presence globally. It is the oldest major championship. The man who wins this event will be proclaimed the champion golfer of the year on Sunday, and you will be seeing that person receive the famed Claret Jug. I think any discussion that would be about Live or the PGA Tour or about where we go or who's going to be here or not, that would have been a major distraction. So I think he was right to make that call. I think the other thing that came out of the press conference was he was asked about whether or not there has been some kind of joint gathering of the major players together about what's going to take place in 23. And he said, no, our agenda, and when I say our, I mean it would be the RNA's agenda, is certainly something that's separate and distinct from, say, the agenda of Augusta National or the USGA or the PGA of America. I mean, they have their own situation. I think the Live thing going forward is going to really come down to two things. Can they get world ranking points? And can they also have access to the major championships? Now, I think the exemption category that allows the players who have won, such as Dustin Johnson is a former Masters winner. I don't know what Fred Ridley is going to do, and I will tell you that is going to be the most watched press conference in golf when he does come forward and state what is the position of Augusta National in regards to Live players. And clearly, I think much of golf will be waiting to see where he comes down on this particular issue. But the 23 calendar is still months away. And I think Martin Slumbers was correct on behalf of the RNA as their CEO to basically say, look, let's focus on the golf that we have here. We have a great championship. It is being played at St. Andrews. And I think if you were to get into this discussion, it would just lend itself to an endless array of questions. I mean, the Martin Slumbers press conference was primarily about the Live situation. I mean, that was obvious it was going to happen. But I think in his own way of doing things, he was able to address the pertinent issues that are here at this point. But there's going to be a lot more to be followed up on what takes place here. I mean, this has not been finalized by any means. And I think anybody who's saying that Live is going to be around or not going to be around, it's speculation right now at this point. There could also be new players coming forward. And there's also the possibility that the PGA Tour may expand what they are looking to do beyond the press conference that Jay Monahan had at the Travelers Championship. I mean, so there's a lot of moving parts that are going to be going forward with how golf is going to be played and how golf is going to be handled in the 23 calendar. I mean, this particular point in time, Martin Slumbers quite correctly came out and said, look, we need a timeout from all the rest of the stuff. Let's just focus on the Open Championship and what it means to be St. Andrews. And I think on that particular point, I think he made the right call for all involved.
Perfect way to wrap things up with MJ Ward, who's getting ready to hop on a plane to fly over to Scotland for the 150th edition of the Open Championship. He'll join us tomorrow and also Friday. MJ, safe travels over to Scotland, my friend, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Guys, enjoy and keep watching, because I tell you what, the tee times will be early, starting out around 1:30 a.m. on Thursday morning.
Outstanding. Matt, take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow. That is MJ Ward, our golf insider. No one knows the sport any better than he does, and I thought we'd get an early preview of the Open Championship and plenty more to come as we roll through the week here on Sports Talk.
Peanuts and baseball, the perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
In Irma, call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
Wednesday on the Sports Talk Media Network. Sports Talk here tonight. You're welcome to join us, and we'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts about the upcoming Open Championship? We have to make sure we don't say the British Open Championship because those English folks, they get upset. They've been upset with us since the 1770s, but nonetheless, you can join us on the Sports Talk Education Lottery lucky number at 888-898-2525. But go on to bed now, because as soon as we're done with the show, we're going to hit the sack and get ready for live golf at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And Smitty, as I mentioned earlier, that's the beauty of this. As soon as you wake up tomorrow morning, there'll be golf on the TV.
Morning golf. Oh, I love it. Bloody Mary and the Open Championship. Royal and Ancient. Love it.
All right, we will slide out for a quick timeout. When we come back, Phil would be disappointed if we didn't get into it, so we'll do some recruiting. Also, some big news out of college basketball. Could the one-bid leagues not be a part of the NCAA tournament? Greg Sankey thinks so.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Some evening showers could be heavy at times and a low overnight of 73. Tomorrow, another South Carolina summer day with more clouds than sunshine. 50% chance of some heavy late afternoon and evening downpours and a high reaching 85. The humidity will make it feel hotter. More of the same on Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
The most dangerous appliance in the house is the clothes dryer. There's no bigger fire hazard than a dryer not working properly. I'm Patrick with Dryer Vent Wizard in Lexington. Is your dryer taking more than one cycle to dry clothes? It's more than cleaning out a lint trap. Dryer Vent Wizard helps with fire prevention, avoiding mold and mildew, saving energy, which saves dollars and extends the life of your dryer and even your clothes. Dryer vents are all we do. Online, it's LexingtonDryerEventWizard.com or call us today, 693-5357. That's 693-5357.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Iran is ramping up uranium enrichment, clamping down on dissent, and deepening ties with Russia in a challenge to the United States and Europe. Russian President Vladimir Putin heads to Tehran next week to meet with Iran's leader, his second trip abroad since sending troops into Ukraine. The surprise announcement came a day after the White House said Tehran is preparing to send armed drones to Russia for use in Ukraine, and before U.S. President Joe Biden headed to Israel and Saudi Arabia. Tehran, severed from the global banking system by Western sanctions, wants to show it has alternatives. Talks to revive the 2015 nuclear deal, which eased sanctions on Iran in return for curbs on its atomic program, are at a standstill. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 208 points. This is SRN News.
I'm already a big fan of Medicare Blueprint. Tim and his team saved me several $1,000s. They took a look at my health insurance. They helped me get the best possible plan. But not long ago, I reached out when we had a crisis. The big bad insurance company out of nowhere just canceled Mom's medicine for her multiple sclerosis. No warning, 30 years, same med, and just like that, gone. Here's the good news. Medicare Blueprint doesn't work for the insurance companies. They work for you. They're local. Imagine me trying to get this fixed, calling some national toll-free number. Outsourced operators never talk to the same person twice. Medicare Blueprint went to work, helped me get Mom's meds back, and how's this? Even less expensively than we were paying before. Incredible customer service and local. What a great formula. Oh, and it cost me nothing for their services. Nothing. Whether you're on Medicare or not, my mom is, I'm not. Medicare Blueprint help both of us. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
Honey, did you see the gas prices as you drove home from work today?
I did. They are getting ridiculous.
Good thing for us, we don't have to go anywhere to get our medicine.
That's right. Ever since we switched to True Pharmacy, they have delivered all of our medicine for free.
Not only that, every time we buy anything at True Pharmacy, including our prescriptions, we get loyalty points.
Aren't those great? We get to use our loyalty points to buy other over-the-counter items.
Yes, this month I used them for our multivitamins.
I sure am glad we switched to True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations to serve you, West Columbia and Columbia on Divine.
You've seen the news. You've talked to your friends. You may have even looked around yourself. Home prices are nuts. Seems like no one is offering any kind of discount, except Lexington Discount Homes. Discount is their middle name. Quality homes that fit your budget with the size, model, and floor plan that your family needs. You can still afford your dream home at Lexington Discount Homes. Augusta Highway near Ballpark Road, 803-951-1900 or LexingtonDiscountHomes.com.
You know what? I get asked every now and then, Kev, when you say my guy, do you really have a my guy at Palmetto Exterminators? I really do. Ron Byers is my guy. Do you realize I've been a customer of Palmetto Exterminators for 20 years this summer? That's over the course of 3 homes, longer than my kids have been around. I'm loyal to Palmetto Exterminators for several reasons. First, they do a phenomenal job with pest control for a very fair price. It's just not a concern around my home. They take care of everything from regular visits to termite inspection, mosquito care. This is a company that's been around for more than 60 years serving the Midlands. When they come around, they're clean, they're courteous, and they're on time. Look, it's not just me. When it comes to things like those pesky mosquitoes, Palmetto Exterminators voted best of Columbia in Columbia Metropolitan for their mosquito control. I could have told you that before anyone even voted. What else can you possibly need from your pest control company? If you're looking for someone to help you, look no further than my guy, Ron Byers, Palmetto Exterminators. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net or call them 254-5833, 254-5833.
Time to dive into Sports Talk's recruiting report presented by our good friends over at Seawells, the best in the catering business for over 70 years, plus, of course, the daily luncheon buffet. And Pat unveiled what is the remainder of the menu for the rest of the week. In case you missed it, though, tomorrow should be terrific, not to mention what is forthcoming on Friday, right, Pat?
Absolutely, Chris. Today was great, but these next 2 days, they're making my eyes get quite wide Thursday, the 14th, it'll be celebrating Thanksgiving over at Seawells with carved turkey with cornbread dressing, gravy, and etc., along with Southern fried chicken and fried pork chops, which I cannot recommend enough. I think they have the best fried pork chops in the Midlands, hands down.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
And add a little gravy if you like that on top, and it's a little chef's kiss, Friday, they will be bringing you a little roast beef Friday, as Andy, friend of the program, coined for us. Carved roasted sirloin of beef, along with fried flounder and Southern fried chicken. And then don't forget, they also have salad, lots of sides, and dessert. Could not recommend the banana pudding enough.
And if you're like me, the best Italian dressing I've ever tasted on those salad plates. And again, the daily luncheon buffet from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. But if you're looking for anybody to handle your catering needs, and as we start getting closer to the beginning of the football season, these are the perfect people to take care of your tailgating opportunities. You make sure you get in touch with Seawells at 803-771-7385 or email SeawellsCateringSC.com. All right, USC coach Shane Beamer and offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Marcus Satterfield did not, of course, land their preferred 2023 quarterback target in Dylan Lonergan, who opted for Alabama earlier this week. But that does not mean the Gamecocks won't have a highly regarded quarterback in their 23 class. Dante Reno committed to the Gamecocks earlier this month for the 2024 class, which would have been the perfect fit for him and USC had Lonergan picked the Gamecocks. But with that spot now at quarterback in the 2023 class now open, Reno told us last night from Aruba, how about that? From Aruba, where he and his family are vacationing, that moving to the 23 class is now a serious possibility, saying, quote, I get back on Sunday and we're going to talk to the family tomorrow about what's going to happen. We're going to talk with Coach Satterfield and Coach Beamer and see what their thoughts are. It's definitely an option right now. They have mentioned that. Reno said he's all set academically to be able to graduate from the Loomis Chaffee School in Connecticut with the 2023 class. He views getting an earlier start than originally planned with the Gamecocks would be an exciting and intriguing opportunity for sure. Reno said it's definitely exciting to get there a year earlier, be able to learn the whole offense earlier. Nothing is set in stone right now, but it's definitely an opportunity. Last season, Reno passed for over 2,500 yards and 27 touchdowns. Meantime, speaking of the Gamecocks, USC baseball coach Mark Kingston yesterday added another arm to his staff via the transfer portal. Right-handed pitcher Roman Kimball announced his transfer from Notre Dame to USC with a tweet. The news first reported by John Whittle of the Big Spur. Kimball is a native of New York State, but attended P27 Academy in Lexington as a freshman for the Irish last season. He made 17 relief appearances and was 4-0 with a 5.76 ERA. In a 9-3 win against Clemson back on April 10th, Kimball allowed 4 hits and 3 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings. He also made 1 appearance in the College World Series, pitching 2/3 of an inning and walking 2 in a 6-2 loss to Oklahoma. Some news forthcoming from Camden defensive tackle Xavier McLeod. He tweeted yesterday, quote, big announcement coming soon. McLeod took official visits to Michigan and LSU back in June. He's listed those 2 among his favorites, along with USC, Georgia, Florida, and Texas A&M. He visited each of those unofficially. Clemson target defensive tackle Caden McDonald of Swanee, Georgia, has been offered by Miami. Wide receiver David Dozier of Moody, Alabama, who has a USC offer but never visited, committed to Arkansas. And 2024 offensive tackle Blake Frazier, 6'5", 250 of Austin, Texas, plans to visit Clemson on July the 26th. He comes from the same school as Clemson 2023 offensive tackle commitment Ian Reed. Frazier holds an offer from Michigan along with LSU and Texas A&M. He camped this summer in Michigan, Texas A&M, Colorado, and Alabama. He's also a track athlete and also throws the shot put. 2025 quarterback Gavin Owens announced last week he is transferring from Wren to Rabun Gap, Georgia. Last season, Owens passed for over 1,800 yards and 14 touchdowns. He has offers from Louisville, Kentucky, and also Florida A&M. Meantime, 2025 offensive and defensive tackle Amari Adams of Lake City plans to attend USC camp coming up on July the 29th. Brooklyn Casey quarterback Tanner Staten has committed to Elon. And in basketball, Clemson offered 6'7" Sultan Adewale of London. He goes to school in Philadelphia and averaged 17 points and 8 rebounds per game last season. Some other offers are Georgia Tech, Rutgers, along with West Virginia, Arizona State, Ole Miss, Memphis, and DePaul. And Clemson also looking good with 6'7" Asa Thomas of Lake Forest, Illinois, according to Jamie Shaw of On3. Brad Brownell offered him in late June and was on hand for many of Thomas's games in Atlanta last week. Shaw is projecting a Clemson commitment by Thomas within the next 3 to 4 days. Some of his other offers include Ohio State, Wisconsin, Illinois, Virginia Tech, Iowa, and Marquette. Thomas was the 3A first-team All-States selection last season. And, of course, we are also keeping a sharp eye on what may happen, if anything, with G.G. Jackson. Of course, the commitment to UNC, but it appears that he may back out of that commitment and actually pick the Gamecocks on the basketball floor. We will certainly keep you posted with regards to that as part of our recruiting reports, which is presented each and every evening by Seawells on Rosewood Drive in Columbia. And it's funny to me, speaking of recruiting, Smitty, with regards to Dante Areno, I can't remember when I was in high school. Now, no, I went to school in the dark ages. But when I graduated in the late 80s, thinking about reclassifying and getting out of school a year early never crossed anybody's mind. But now that's sort of the in vogue thing to do, and I just don't quite understand. And Dante Areno and everybody else who does this can certainly do whatever they, and G.G. Jackson falls into this category, reclassifying. But I just don't understand the rush to get older. Being old is not a lot of fun.
No, you're right about that. And I know in your time, I know you were too busy tight rolling your jeans and smoking cigarettes in the boys' room.
With my members only jacket, of course.
Right,
Yes,
that's right.
absolutely.
So worry about what was coming next year. Oh, guys, next year's going to be a real gas, Sandy.
I didn't go to school in the 50s now. Come on.
Right, yes. Oh, man. I tell you, this sock hop's the last time I'm going to have to get with Jenny Caulfield. Hey, let me have one of those hard candies.
But I mean, you played collegiate baseball. I mean, was that something you considered about reclassifying and trying to get into college a year early?
No, what is that? This is, as you rightly said, this is actually adults infringing upon, teenagers' world. What's happened is, as recruiting is not just, fruitful for those that are being recruited. There are people who make money on this, right? They help you. And so what are you doing? Now we've got networks set up where we help you. Well, we're going to take care of you. We're going to get you these offers. And then everything has become so sophisticated. Sometimes the kid's not in the room, right? You can have someone like a coach, a former coach now, he's in that world and he's meeting with two parents and they say, I tell you what you could do if you take PE this summer and you double up on chemistry next semester, he could graduate a semester early. We could gray shirt this kid and get him his scholarship. He's 17 years old. Before he can shave, he's already on a college campus. And I don't know if it's all in the best interest of the kid. And sometimes it might sound good in the moment. But as soon as this phenomenon hit, I remember thinking, you're not going to your prom with your friends.
Yeah.
You're not, or maybe you're a football player and you want to skip out on the second semester. But maybe you've been a football player that also plays third base on the baseball team, and you're just going to miss your senior year. Just skip it. I don't know that that's good. So I think your point is salient. I think your perspective is the right one. Don't rush on this. What's the difference? Time is a commodity, but come on, graduate college at 22 instead of 21. I think that's okay. I think you might be better for it, not just as an athlete, but just as a complete person.
Pat, you might be able to share a little bit better perspective because you're a lot closer in age-wise with some of these athletes who are coming out of high school now. Would you have considered when you were graduating high school maybe to bump it up a year so you could get out as a 16-year-old senior versus 17 or 18-year-old senior?
No, me personally, no. But I admittedly was a late bloomer. If anything, sometimes I wish I could have had one extra year in high school.
Okay.
So I was kind of the opposite end of the spectrum there. But I will say, if I was one of these guys in particular in, well, I guess all the sports these days, if I know that I have aspirations to reach the professional level, say you're basketball and you think you have a chance to only spend 1 year in college, hint, hint, a certain local players who I might be referencing here, is I would be very, very tempted to speed up my timeline, because one injury and your career is over. And
sure,
that would just always be in the back of my head. And I still, now I'm thinking back to my high school basketball coach always telling me that that's a terrible way to play, because when you think about being injured or not getting injured, that's when you get injured. But I just see so many players, the life expectancy in the NBA is so short, or in any professional league is so short. If I had aspirations and thought that I was good enough to reach the pros, I absolutely would consider getting there as soon as I can, just to start that revenue stream. NIL may change that a little bit. If you don't think that you're a projected lottery pick, I would want to stay around and go ahead and start making money in college while honing my craft so as to become a lottery pick. But if I'm somebody that is all the experts are thinking is going to be one and done, heck yes, get me to the pros as quickly as possible.
All right, we'll slide out final time out of the program, 888-898-2525. If you'd like to be on the program, the Sports Talk South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And did you know that since 2002, more than $174 million in lottery proceeds has been used to purchase, maintain, and fuel over 2,000 school buses in South Carolina? You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/educationwins. And playing for fun is a win for education. We'll come back and wrap things up with Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, maybe wanting and pushing for a change to the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Could it be a death knell for the tournament? Get into that and wrap things up next here on Sports Talk.
Peanuts and baseball, the perfect pair. There's nothing better than enjoying a bag of crunchy, great-tasting in-shell peanuts washed down with your favorite beverage of choice while cheering on your baseball team. This summer, grab a bag or two of delicious protein-packed Virginia Carolina's grown in-shell peanuts. America's favorite snack and America's favorite sport. A match sure to please. This message is brought to you by Virginia Carolina's peanut farmers. To learn more about peanuts, visit the website aboutpeanuts.com. That's right, aboutpeanuts.com. Enjoy a bag of peanuts today.
Founders Federal Credit Union knows your life is busy and your money is important. We are proud to offer local personalized services and convenient online services like Founders Online and the Founders app. You'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax, win with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Gibson Insurance. Former Gamecock player Bo Mobley and former coach Stuart Lake want you on their team for all your insurance needs. Now, cost-effective solutions is what they're all about for the now and for the long term. They're licensed with every insurance company in the state. They've got offices in Columbia, Greenville, and Sumter. But if you're listening right now, let me direct you to call Bo and Stu today at 803-605-0029. That's 803-605-0029. Let my good friends take great care of you.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty, certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
It's raining here in the PD, or at least it was earlier today. I'm sure it's raining along the coast. It's raining in the Midlands. It's raining in low country. But sooner or later, we're going to dry out for a couple of days, and now would be the perfect time to maybe make plans to spend a weekend or a week down at the beach. And the perfect place to contact to set all of that up for you is James Smith Realty and Polly'sVacationRentals.com. Polly's Island, of course, wonderful place to go. Smitty can certainly attest to that as he is sitting, 10, 15 miles max from Polly's Island down in Georgetown. And Jimmy Smith can take care of everything you need. You give him a call, whether it be a weekend rental, a week's rental, or he's got some property that you may want to purchase and spend your entire rest of your life down at the beach. And there's really not a better place to go than Georgetown County down along the Grand Strand. You can get in touch with James Smith Realty at 843-237-4246. Again, 237-4246, area code 843, or visit Polly'sVacationRentals.com and just tell them you know about Matt Smith because he's right in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I certainly am. Look, it is paradise down here. If it's like 85 with a breeze blowing, there's no better place to be. And if you come on down here and call me up, I can also tell you all the place that Jimmy eats, so you can crash the party. He's got all the good reservations locked down.
So I was going to say you could bump into Corn Blue while you're down there, but I'm guessing Jimmy's smart enough not to eat at the same place as Phil does.
You can always bump into Corn Blue. I can give you a list of 5 golf courses, and you can always find Corn Blue. Just that he's either there or was just there.
All right, again, James Smith, the Realty down at Polly's Island. Perfect place to set up your weekend getaway. Quick update on the Major League Baseball scoreboard. Bottom of the 6th inning, Mariners leading the Nationals 2-0 in the second half of their doubleheader they played earlier today, with the Mariners winning 6-4 over Washington. Also in the top of the 3rd inning, Cincinnati with a 4-0 lead on the New York Yankees. The Pirates and Marlins are scoreless in the bottom of the 4th. Phillies and Blue Jays are playing. They go to the 4th inning in Toronto, where the Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. Red Sox and Rays are scoreless in the bottom of the 3rd. Over in Tampa, White Sox and Guardians also scoreless. That game in the bottom of the 3rd. Top of the 1st inning, Dodgers and Cardinals just getting underway. They are scoreless. Bit earlier today, Braves the loser to the Mets. They dropped that series 2-1. They fall to New York by a score of 7-3. Twins beat the Brewers 4-1 today. Also, the Royals knocking off the Tigers 5-2. And the Giants defeat the Diamondbacks by a score of 4-3. All right, coming up on the program tomorrow, we'll catch up with Mike Morgan. We'll talk about the impact maybe of what exactly happened this week with the Braves and Mets and how big an impact that may have as we head towards the All-Star break. We'll also catch up with MJ Ward live from Scotland at the 150th Open Championships. So certainly looking forward to all of that coming up on the program tomorrow and your phone calls as well. But before we close things up, saw this earlier today, Smitty, and I found this fascinating. Now, whether or not this actually is true is up for debate. But there's a report from the Stadium's Jeff Goodman, who also does a podcast. And, of course, most of everything that is being focused on college athletics right now is about the college realignment and basically driven by the college football programs. But the biggest ramification from that would fall on what it means for the NCAA men's basketball tournament, according to a story today on on3.com. According to the Stadium's Jeff Goodman, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey wants it to look completely different. Goodman shared new information on a recent episode of the Field of 68 podcast. His report comes from members of the D1 Council that Sankey had met with last week, and they say Sankey's future vision of the NCAA tournament could remove the chances for Cinderella teams altogether. Saying, quote, honestly, the only thing I care about ultimately is that the tournament doesn't change. Here's something I'll tell you guys. I haven't said this to anybody yet. And this is Goodman on the podcast. Greg Sankey, who runs the Transformation Committee and is now, of course, the SEC Commissioner, spoke to the D1 Council a few weeks ago And a couple of people from the council called Jeff Goodman and said Sankey kind of talked down to us a little bit and made it look like the NCAA tournament may not look like the NCAA tournament in a couple of years, meaning the little guys might not be involved anymore. There evidently wasn't consensus on the report, as other members told Goodman that that was not the case. However, the goal of conference realignments has been power on college sports' biggest stages. Power 5 schools have always equally dominated the college football playoff and, of course, NCAA tournament bids, eliminating the Cinderella schools. And this is basically your Furmans, your Winthrops, your Coastal Carolinas, anybody in sort of a one-bid conference. Altogether would, in turn, guarantee the super conferences even more bids. The only problem, though, as the story writes, is it removes a foundational piece of what makes March Madness as special as it is. Smitty, I firmly believe this has certainly been talked about at the Power 5 level, and as many awful things that could possibly happen in college athletics with the transformation of conferences and whether or not you like NIL or you like the transfer portal, John, as Phil likes to say, nothing could be worse for college athletics than not allowing some of the smaller schools a chance to compete in the NCAA tournament, in my mind.
No, I completely agree. I think this, if Greg Sankey said this, he was punch drunk or power hungry. This cannot be, you cannot allow this to happen. Don't touch March Madness. I think sometimes we get into, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and the Power 5 commissioners. Okay, that's the group I'm talking about. So you start thinking, well, everything is football, bigger, more massive, more the bigger the better in terms of payouts at the top. That's not the case for sports like baseball or basketball. In basketball, Gonzaga competes at the highest level. Georgetown has national championships. St. John's, was at one time a national power. These are teams, they can do it. They can get two players and change the landscape of college basketball. It is not college football. They are different animals, and you should not treat them the same. And this is a point that shouldn't be missed. March Madness does not begin with the NCAA tournament. March Madness begins with those one big leagues and those small conference tournaments in Fayetteville, North Carolina, or Charlotte, North Carolina, or Asheville, North Carolina, or Coastal Carolina, or Rock Hill, South Carolina, or small cities. It's West Texas. It's when the students rush the floor because their team is going to get a chance to go play Duke or North Carolina or UCLA or whatever big bad dragon they've been wanting to slay. They're going to get that shot because of what they just accomplished over the course of a week. That's March Madness, not just what happens inside the NCAA tournament. And Greg Sankey has done some good things for college athletics, but he needs to keep his money-grubbing paws off the NCAA tournament.
And it's funny because there's no greater moneymaker in the NCAA than the men's basketball tournament. And you take away the opportunity that the Cinderellas have, and let's face it, Villanova and Gonzaga in that formula would be classified as Cinderellas because they don't participate in a Power 5 league. You take away the opportunities of a Winthrop or a Furman or a Coastal Carolina or a Wofford or any of the smaller programs in our state that win their conference tournament and earn a right to get in. You take away that opportunity for them, and I think you turn a lot of folks off because the most popular sports days of the year are the Thursday and Friday of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. I don't think there's a greater sports days, 48 hours, than those two. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up. Enjoyed it tonight, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for another spine-tingling edition of Sports Talk.
The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Today's Consumer Price Index report finds U.S. inflation reached 9.1% in June. That's a 40-year high.
The latest figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics finds inflation rose 9.1% last month from a year ago, the biggest 12-month increase since 1981. That's up 1.3% from May and a bigger jump than many economists had forecast. U.S. job growth has been strong, but high prices for gas, food, and housing are outpacing incomes, putting a crunch on family budgets and hurting consumer confidence. Federal Reserve President James Bullard tells the AP that to cool inflation, another large increase in the key interest rate is likely.
If the meeting was today, I would support the 75 basis point move.
There are some indicators the economy is already slowing. Consumers have started to pull back on spending and factory output slipped in May. One